We've made the decision to say goodbye. Well, dudes, it's exhausting and it's a lot of time, effort.
When everything's aligned and the stars are aligned, but when the universe looks a little bit against you, it's a little bit of a harder blow to recover from, especially at the levels I think we were doing. We were recording, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes in a day.
We can't keep going on the path we're on. We need to either double down, scale down, change something.
I think it's a disservice not to the sponsors, not only to the sponsors, but it's a disservice to us personally. And then it's a disservice to the businesses that are like R1. I think our number one's different and require more time, effort, and energy than they did 2 years ago.
So this isn't clickbait. If you're watching this pod and you decided to come click on us, we are saying goodbye here. And I promise this isn't a marketing stunt. We're not doing giveaway. We're not doing anything fun here, but that's what we're going to talk about. So you boys ready for the final pod?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's
We
do
just
it in
lost
3,
everybody in first 5
2,
minutes.
1.
Welcome to the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. Ecom is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop. Amir from the agency and Jimmy from SAS. John has an Android, but give him a pass, cause he's an operator building brands like a carpenter. And that's Brian, he is the marketer. Like I said, this the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. Ecom is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the final episode of the ASOM Pod. Now, I want to make sure I introduce everyone one final time. We'll give everyone the long introductions the way that Amer likes to do, since that's what we do here. So we've got John Roman. He's the Android-loving survival king. He's the CEO and co-founder of BattleBox, the leading outdoor subscription brand. Yes? I finally feel like I got that down. Yeah, good.
Why do you
Okay.
sound so melancholy?
Who, me?
Yeah.
What's
All right,
melancholy mean? Sounds like a bad
Smashing
French
Pumpkin.
dish.
Smashing
Yes,
pumpkins.
that's the episode with the orange pumpkin on it. All right. And then we've got Mr. Amer Grosdanic. He's the Prince of Bosnia, Prince of Chicago, or the Mayor of Chicago, the Mayor of Motivation. In his lifetime, he's the CEO. And are you the co-founder or founder? You're co-founder,
Co-founder.
right?
Co-founder.
Yeah, of Perella, the #1 platinum Shopify agency.
They're number one, but we have good company.
If you say it like that too, it's even better.
Yeah, it is pretty
Yeah.
good. And then last but not least, we've got Brian McDonald. He is the funniest man on LinkedIn, at least self-proclaimed. He loves meat, so much meat that he has a meat channel. With that, he does sell really, really nice dog food that's really good for old dog stomachs. That might be a little bit expensive for most people, but is great and is very heavy and hurts when you get hit in the balls with it.
Yeah.
He's the director of ecommerce at Oma's Pride.
Yeah, hell yeah.
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 And myself. I'm gonna
Yeah,
introduce
include
myself
yourself this
today.
time.
Yeah.
Well, my final time, I'm gonna actually include myself. My name is Jimmy Kim. I would just simply say I do things online, social media, and I run this thing called Commerce Roundtable, and we run a great live event show. If you're watching this final one, shameless plug, April 20th, April 21st, we've got one in Austin, and in September 21, September 22, we've got one in San Diego. Go check it out. I'll put up a coupon if you watch this final one called ASOMOFF, and it's like ASOM off. We'll put the coupon code on the bottom, and we'll give you a big percentage off a ticket if you want to come check us out.
Might be
and
doing
meet us in person.
some live shopping.
With that being said,
Might be doing some
yes,
live
and
shopping.
do some potential live shopping. Yeah. Well, let's put it in the air, John. But guys, like everyone's probably clicked on this to listen to this, like the few people or the hundreds of people, whatever people listen to this thing. But the reality is we've made the decision to say goodbye and sunset the pod. And I want to kind of preface this, and I would love to hear some things from everybody here as we kind of sunset this thing. But we started this thing with kind of a vision, right? We started with this idea that we wanted a show about perspective, a unique one. We've got the A for agencies, S for SaaS, O for operator, M for marketer. That's how we got to the word awesome. And we wanted to do this like live show element. We felt like talking heads on a Zoom call, like everybody was doing it since COVID. And the reality was it wasn't given the production value, the genuine like body language and different things. And as we look back over the episodes and I was reflecting on this, we definitely had a lot of these fun moments that were happening, and I think wouldn't have happened unless we were online, together in person. And since we've been doing that, we've done a year and a half, almost 2 years of it together. Well, dudes, it's exhausting and it's a lot of time, effort. And not only that, but there's a business side to that of actually making money versus paying for the cost. Believe it or not, the things that we were doing, the videographers we're hiring, the locations we're scouting out, all of that costs a lot of money.
A
Plus
lot
the
of money.
amount of time. Yeah, the amount of time that was kind of putting into everybody's kind of world here, taking any of us off the field for at least 1 to 2 days, it costs money, right? Real impactful money that's coming out of our own businesses. And the reality is that we had to make the tough decision. And though we went on to this like Zoom pod thing towards the end of last year, we wanted to make sure that, we continued to deliver episodes. The reality was, even looking forward, we were going to have so many scheduling conflicts this year just because all of our businesses are all on the right trajectories, moving the right direction. Things are happening for us. And well, that came into a big thing like, hey guys, like, is this really going to be something we can continue doing? And look, I love the pod. I love talking about the things we do. But the reality is, I have things I need to do that I have things I need to do in my life and my businesses that I need to be working on and focused on more than just this. And being put in the dedication is not a priority for me, just as much as all of us have kind of agreed to that. So I thought today on this final pod, we do a podcast about podcasts because it's cliche, but it's really about why podcasts are really hard. And really why we're seeing and hearing about, look, there's like fun stats, like most podcasts don't make it 10 episodes. Like it's like 20 or only 20% or something make it after 10. And then it's like 10% or 5% make it to like 50 or something like that, or 3%. And it continues to diminish off really fast. And the reason for that, I think, is what we've learned here. There's just so much. And the number one thing, Amer, you pointed this out when we're having our call about talking about this, was time, right? The thing that's immeasurable in value per se, because we don't know what is doing it, but we do know that the input and energy that we have to put into this takes away from everything else, right? I think that was your biggest learning about the pod, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, in the beginning, like, because you're starting something new, something exciting, you don't really feel it, and you can have kind of this like post-recording, post-flight adrenaline. You come home, you're with your significant other, you open up your laptop, look at your inbox, you get through it because it's there. But then it's like, when you maybe hit a challenge in your business, when you maybe hit a challenge in your personal life or something happens, you kind of have like a different setback. I think it's wonderful, like when everything is aligned and the stars are aligned. But when the universe, shifts a little bit against you, it's a little bit of a harder blow to recover from, especially at the levels I think we were doing. I mean, we were recording 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes in a day, having late flights, long days, early flights going back home. So, you can maximize your weekend. But I don't think much changed, like in my perception from like starting it. It was like still exciting. Don't get me wrong. It was super, super exciting. It was just, it becomes hard. It becomes hard. And the thing is, like, well, most people don't do. Us four, we have a Slack channel. You, Jimmy, were for the most part with Caitlin, messaging our editors, arranging people, flights, looking at like sponsorship. I mean, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. It's not like shot for one day and record. Giving me book assignments and books to read. I mean, it was a lot of stuff, but I'll tell you this much: it was hard. It was exciting. I would do it all over again 100 times. When we discussed it the first time, I was a little bit sad. It kind of hits you. Had a few days to reflect, and honestly, I'm as grateful as I can be. I would tell everyone to go for it. I don't consider this a failure. I've learned so much, and for me, the coolest part is I really didn't know Jimmy and Brian so much. Got 2 really good friends, business partners, and I got embedded with John even more and got to know him.
You got embedded with John even more?
No, you guys literally got in bed together.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I thought you said you got in bed with John even more. That's my fault.
No, I think you guys literally got in bed together.
I did, because I ran away from Brian.
You
when
sure
we shared
did.
the
Yeah.
room.
Yeah. I took
Yeah.
my shirt off.
Brian
and
took
you're
his
like,
shirt
"That's all right."
off, and yeah,
Yeah.
First time we recorded, it happened.
Yes. All the weird things that occur. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
no, that
good.
was a good reflection. I mean, look, I think that's really right down one of the thought processes. John, what do you think about this, man? Like, as we reflect back, and I'm sure you've had time to think about things, where do you look back and say, man, not saying that it wasn't a great experience and learning and all that stuff, but where did you feel the pain of everything that we worked on together? Like, what was the hardest part to you?
so to get to the hardest, I think let's go back to the beginning and the concept and the idea, and it's not what we're doing today. It was us in person, right? I still believe that the being able to execute that is miles ahead of every other podcast that's what we're doing today, right? So I think whether we executed it as well as we should have, obviously we could probably all agree we didn't. Maybe we executed it well, but strategy needed to be a little bit different. I still find such value in that. Honestly, for the friendships too, but like you can see those episodes, like when we're getting into it, like you can't beat in person.
Mhm.
So that's a huge positive. Challenges, and the hard part is it's not inexpensive. We wanted to do it right. We didn't want to cut corners. None of us had the time to dedicate to some of the roles we hired for. And because of that, we had to hire these roles, the video editing, the social media managing. So it was just very expensive. I mean, it was, I think we can throw it out there. I think average, if you break it down, I think our monthly expenses, if you take all the, the 7 in-person things divided all equally, it's about 16K a month. That's not inexpensive. And that's,
do it in
not
person.
that's to not make a single dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 16K going out every month just to break even.
Yep.
Which is wild.
Just to get it is wild, but I think a lot of the things behind the scenes, if you want to do this properly, which we agreed on from the beginning that we would try to do and attempt to do, it's kind of what it took. And it's why we had, not that we had utmost success along the way, but I would say that we had some good successful moments throughout the shows. And a lot of that, came with a lot of cost. And again, going back to it, man, like one thing I'm really proud of I'll just kind of say is like, we were shooting 5-6 pods. And if you tell most people we're shooting 5-6 pods in one sitting, we heard it from every videographer that video. What are you guys doing? We're going to shoot 5-6 pods. In fact, this guy over here, John, was food sick one time in Chicago. I remember, and literally between shows was running downstairs to use the bathroom, right? Like that's how much, not only dedication, but a show must go on mentality that we tried and we put our effort to. And to your point, like we all learned a lot. I think that there's definitely a lot there. I mean, Brian, going to learning, I think that's something that you had mentioned before. You have felt and picked up a lot of stuff along the way, just doing this and applying it to your business and seeing success. Tell me about that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's oh man, it's like so different being a part of something than it is like outside looking in, right? When you're on the inside of of some sort of podcast or group or community, then you are
a gang
or gang. Yeah. Gangs. Yeah. As well, John. Yeah. I mean, listen, that's part of life, No, I think it does make a big difference. And listen, I think I was always a podcast guy. I always listen to them. You always read, right? You're always engaged on X and LinkedIn, but unless you're like really in the weeds and that's when you truly, digest things a lot more clear. It's when you're able to meet more people, I think, as well, right? It's harder to meet people by being a gatherer. I think when you're a hunter, you meet a lot more people. And I think that's what we were. We were hunters for, a year and a half on the pod. Granted, it didn't work out the way we wanted it to, but I think we all took away our own learnings from it. I know I personally took away a lot from it, right? I was in the industry, but I wasn't for a long time because I was in the 2A field. It's a different, whole different atmosphere. So, I met 3 amazing new really good friends that obviously were probably going to go to each other's like funerals and wakes. Hopefully not for a while. Right. Hopefully we all make it for quite some time.
I'm
Yeah,
over
at least,
50%
4 or 5
right now.
years.
I'm at like the 60% life mark, I think.
But yeah,
the battery's draining over here.
I think it's interesting, and you learn a lot with pods, and it's not like, listen, I'm a big sports guy, like you guys know, people probably listening are aware that I'm a big football guy. I played in college. I'm friends with a lot of guys in the NFL, and it's easier to have a podcast talking about football than it is talking about what you're going to do on email marketing for an ecom brand that's selling tumblers, right, or pet food. So the TAM is super small in the pod world that we live in. We've talked about this before in previous episodes and personally, but you really, for those folks that are listening, like, oh, I want to start a podcast, you really have two buckets, right? You have hey, let's go super niche and let's create this like agency specific pod on paid ads. And then you can get like, super niche on that and, hit that world at a small scale, but a meaningful scale. Or you can go, super wide open and get politics involved, or how to make your first $1 million in, 90 days, right? There's not a lot of folks. And I think what I've learned too is Adam and I, now that we're a part of CBIA in Connecticut, which I didn't mention this last call, but we just had a meeting yesterday, and we were with like 300 business owners, all of them selling product online. So when I was like telling them about the pod, they're like, dude, we have no time for a podcast. Like, that's just a reality of the world today. I think we used to be in a very also like high digestible entertainment field in this industry. Business was easier to run, I believe, pre-COVID. And I think it was easier to run when money was free because a lot of people were over hiring and they had people handle everything. And I think today, the true operators that are running successful businesses that aren't at a scale of a 9 or 10 figure business, and they're grinding, which is 99% of the market, a lot of them don't even have time for podcasts. And I think that the big drop off, like Spotify saw a huge drop off the past 2 years. You're seeing like a huge consumer drop off in that, just based on how hard life is getting. So it's cool to like see that, experience it, run it, and then step back and be like, hey, we're also in a field where you either go small or you go super wide net, but then also understand that, the average US operator that would be listening to it, unfortunately, isn't listening to podcasts as much anymore.
Yo, OmniSend is back with some new swag. AI is now in the mix. Yeah, you heard that. Smarter and better. Let AI decide. Personalize every line. Take your brand worldwide. How about 24/7 support? MJ of basketball, but emails are sports. So sit back, relax, watch the magic unfold. Let the folks at OmniSend get your story told. Tired of staring at blank pages? OmniSend AI doesn't hit you with writer's block. Their new AI writes your emails, personalizes content, and builds customer segments instantly. Just whisper who it's for, and AI figures out the rest. Join 125,000 users already winning with OmniSend's email, SMS, and push notifications. Backed by 24/7 amazing support. Visit omnisend.com today.
So, yeah, and I'll add one last thing to that real quick, and you kind of made the point, and I'll go to you, John, here. But, one thing that I've kind of thought about, and we talked about this too, is like, if we had something to sell you, right? Like, we don't sell anybody anything except our sponsors. Big shout out to all our sponsors who supported us over the years, but we don't really have anything to sell you. So there isn't a funnel. If I'm an agency or I'm a, whatever, and I want to sell you on my services by teaching you, educating, and getting you embraced, thought leadership, and being able to bring you down my funnel, I think that makes a lot more sense. But because we stayed so vague to ourselves, it's not like Amara, we were talking about websites, or Brian, we're talking about pet food, or John, we're talking about, battle
Survival
boxes.
gear.
Yeah, no, you don't like to be called survival. You're outdoor sports gear or something, right?
Survival gear is fine.
Okay,
We don't like
prepper.
prepper.
Yeah, prep, maybe that's
Yeah,
what it is.
that's what it is.
But you see what I'm saying is, like, if you have something to sell and you've got a small audience and you're able to talk to them, I think it is great to be able to get people in. But we didn't have that. So that was another part of that learning is, if you're going to do it, doing it as a media company versus doing it as a funnel to attract prospects and buyers to your business, very total different kind of thought process and the way that you might want to approach this too, because then it becomes a marketing investment versus a marketing output, right? And John, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. You both did. I think everybody has. I do want to clarify for the people that are listening. We were at a crossroads, right? There a path forward was continuing what we were doing. That was a path forward too. There was the path of, cutting it and cutting costs, which was honestly the one that I was leading towards and suggesting, and that was taking our costs down, our monthly cost down to next to nothing, call it $1,000 a month, and continuing on the journey. But it would have been this, right? It would have been not in person, just like every other podcast, and rightfully so. That's not that attractive. The other option, one of the suggestions Jimmy made was, let's just double down, right? If we got it to this, let's go twice as hard, which I think was an option too. So it's not like we're like, there is multiple paths where we could have kept this going. I think just us having a discussion of, we can't keep going on the path we're on. We need to either double down, scale down, change something. I think that discussion that we all had a couple weeks ago, that just kind of led to the aha moment of awesome is awesome, but sometimes you got to take awesome out back and,
let it go. And I think that's also there. And just to be clear, I think it's also important. We had the money. We're actually returning sponsor money back and canceling out, since we're not going to
returning 6 figures
this year. It's not just because we're returning 6 figures out, because we all believe that we would be not doing a service to our sponsors if we took the show into a total different direction without talking to them. And right now we have no idea if it would work or not if we continued on as talking heads ultimately in this like 2D kind of aspect. And so there is a lot of that. But yeah, to your point, John, I mean, we did have good discussions around it. And, I thought a lot about it. And big shout out to Curtis, who was on one of our episodes that kind of challenged that thinking too. I mean, not saying that I was dumping 90% of the stuff, but a lot of this stemmed from even myself reflecting at, geez, like last year was a whirlwind for me. I did a lot of great stuff, but man, like I don't have the time to put into it. What's the best use of my personal time next year to have a better output and be able to double down on the things that I want to work on? And Austin was on the table. I don't think it was off the table. It was just purely, if I can't get everyone else to align on the double down situation, then it makes no sense, because we're all here because we're entrepreneurs and we want to move forward. And if you can't move straight down the arrow, we don't want to do the same thing we did last year.
Right.
That would be insanity, in my opinion. I want to do better and bigger and greater, right? And that's always my mantra. I mean, you'll see that with Commerce Roundtable as well, and that will continue on, of course, this year and continue growing, and that has a very smooth trajectory to the growth that we need to have.
Yeah, and I think piggybacking off of that, I think Jimmy took a lot of the load, right? So like we're also all four of us, right? Not just Jimmy. I think all four of us are in a different spot than we were a year and a half or 2 years ago, right? Jimmy was sort of like exiting Zenlane at the time. He was like building businesses that he currently is running now at a higher level and operating speed. Commerce Roundtable is now officially like in control of Commerce Roundtable and not this weird handoff, which is when the pod started, right? So, Jimmy took a lot on too at the time when we first started Awesome, where, Jimmy was the one developing the show notes and, finding the talent to produce the quality of video and edits that we needed, right? Whether it's, outsourcing or finding, folks in cities. And then, now you look at like BattleBox, Prella, and Oma's, the businesses are moving forward. Like Oma's, from when we first started, we're almost like double the business. So now it's like, there's a lot, I'm traveling a lot more for the business than I was 2 years ago. Amir has stuff going on with Perella. John and BattleBox are doing definitely a lot more, I would say, volume. I know the business is doing better, John, but I think the volume of BattleBox that's being put out, different channel diversification. You're doing live shopping now. There's a lot going on. Like you and I have, I got 3 kids, they're about to be upstairs going nuts from 5 p.m. Eastern until 8 o'clock. and then I'm dealing with them from 6 a.m. till 8:30 when they go to school. I'm working. There's a plethora of things going on, and then Jimmy's businesses that are taking off in different directions. But I think it's really just like Jimmy did a good job pointing out. I think it's a disservice not to the sponsors, not only to the sponsors, but it's a disservice to us personally, and then it's a disservice to the businesses that are like R1, right? Like, hey, Michael Jordan plays basketball. The Bulls came before golf, right? Even though he was really good at golf, he couldn't keep going forward with golf, even though he did. He was a nut job. But the point I'm trying to make is I think our number ones are a lot different and require more time, effort, and energy than they did 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, boys, I don't want to drag this out forever. I don't think that we need to have a huge pod around this, but it really is goodbye. And I wanted to make sure that the listeners that do listen to this final pod, we thank you for listening, enjoying, laughing, crying, being angry, whatever it might have been that we invoked. Hopefully we invoked some emotion out of you. Hopefully we taught you guys something, and hopefully you found some type of value in the things that we did together. And we're all going to be still out there. It's not like we're going to be off media. Obviously, I have, and this is my shameless plug, I have a retention-focused podcast that will be continuing on. So there is something called Send It with an exclamation point. You can find us on YouTube. So there's that. And then I know that, obviously there might be other pods that spin up and different things. But for the ASOM Pod here today, this is our final episode. Final words, Amer. Your last time on air. By the way, Amer, I want to give you one final compliment on air because I know this means a lot.
Oh, Jesus.
Amer, from the day you started to the day you are today, your speaking and ability to speak through a microphone has increased so much. And it's very obvious because I went back to episode 1 and I was like, man, if back in episode 1, I should have cut Amer, but we didn't. Amer stayed on and he's improved so much.
I forgot he was on the
call. Like Bosnian Obama. Remember when he used to sound like Bosnian Obama and he talked really weird and slangy, and now he talks fast and
I don't think it was weird. I think it was just because he was Bosnian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe it might have been.
But is my microphone? Have I improved?
No, you haven't improved at all. I'm gonna be honest with you. You're still the same.
From day one, John, we've had microphone issues with John from day one.
We haven't had microphone issues.
We always have an audio issue with John, and it's okay. You know what I mean? It's the one thing we learned that we just will never fix about John is audio will never be his forte.
No.
It's not John, my fault.
I mean, it for sure is. Yeah.
No, it for sure isn't. Like my mic's working right now.
Just bring it closer to your mouth.
See how close mine is and how clear I am?
Why do you want it so? You don't need it this close.
I mean, that sounds better.
Did that sounded better?
Yes,
John.
It sounds deeper. It sounds more rich. It sounds more from the chest and the heart.
We'll keep it like this.
Maybe we could have kept this freaking thing if you put your mic closer to your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Brian.
I had no idea you had a radio face.
Yeah, he does. John does. Yeah. 93.7 with John Roman.
Somebody
coming back to you with a single from Shaggy.
All right.
No.
Anyways,
but on a serious
final
note,
thoughts.
First of all, honestly, thank you three. I think for me, actually, I was going to say thank you guys for allowing me to grow, to gain confidence in being more open and comfortable and not necessarily boxing conversations in and not expressing myself. Thank you for knighting me as a Prince of Bosnia and for electing me as mayor of Chicago. Hopefully one of those will come true in the future. Also, I think it's like really humbling for me to have all the sponsors that we've had and what they believed in us and into this project. It was really cool, and to have companies of all sizes believe in us and help us do this thing. One thing that was like really cool for me, two kind of big moments. The first time I went to Sendlane after Sendlane had Commerce Roundtable, and the first time it was there, we just started a pod, and I was overwhelmed when I went there by recognition, by conversations, people coming up to me. I literally had people text me saying like, "Hey, can you find me when you free up?" And it was really, really humbling. But the coolest part is, and a lot of us shared these moments together, is when we had merchants call us, hey, I'm struggling with my business. I heard you guys talking about this. What do you think I should do? I had my merchants that we work with listen to the podcast. I really like this. Can you get into it more with me? So my thing when I started, I was afraid of misguiding people, of saying something wrong. And I hope I didn't. It wasn't intentional. But my goal was to help somebody and to know that I at least helps one person maybe move a business forward, make a decision. Whether it's 1 or 10 people, it feels equally great. So that's kind of my 2 bits. And yeah, it was enjoyable.
Cool. Jonathan, is John? Are you actually Jonathan, or are you just John? I think
No,
we had
I'm
this
just
discussion.
John.
That's right.
Yeah.
You don't have a formal name.
Lazy ass
John,
parents.
John is my formal name.
Yeah.
That's not formal.
I'll just call him Jonathan from now on.
Anyway, Jonathan William
Or not.
Roman.
Call me my name, John.
How do you think I feel with Amir? How do you think I feel?
Listen here, Sonny.
Sonny. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, this was fun. This was real. This was fun. It was real fun. It was a good run, almost 2 years. I enjoyed it. One thing we really didn't touch on, but I would argue that all 4 of us feel this way, is forcing ourselves to talk about the topics we talked about week after week. It's the iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel mentality, right? Like, it forced us to keep abreast on important topics, and it I think it made us stronger and better as operators, marketers, etc. By having to always have a pulse on everything. And I think so many times, at least I know personally, so many times we'd be talking about a topic, and that would create an aha moment to myself of, oh, what about this? What about that? And then I'd go back to the team afterwards. On the days when we ripped 6 episodes, I'd have a list of 10 things of initiatives we were going to do when I got back that all stemmed from this show. So it was really beneficial from that side. Yeah. Well, this is goodbye, but it's not goodbye forever.
Yeah.
That was cute.
And Mr. Brian, any final thoughts? I know you've been on this ranting diatribe, so for the first time ever, Brian, I'm giving you 2 minutes because I used to have to do that to Mare, but you're getting the Mr. 2 minutes today.
Yeah, hell yeah. Number 1, I'm down some weight. I don't know if you guys can tell. That's number 1. I want to point that out there. And as we move on, no, I can't even really think about how many times that I've run into situations where, we need to do this at Oma's. I don't even know who to go to. Let me give Jimmy a call. Jimmy picks up. Jimmy's a big 2nd ring, 3rd ring pickup guy. If you get Jimmy past 2 or 3 rings, Jimmy is in a fire. So like that I appreciated like more than I think Jimmy. I think that was huge. I think just like the Perella and Oma's relationship. And I remember episode 1, right, Amir? Episode 2, we like jokingly were like, oh, you'll have to do the Oma's website, right? Like it was a joke on one of the first 2 episodes we did in Atlanta. And then look at the relationship that's, come from that and things that probably you'll be a part of, with Oma's in the future. So, and then you look at John where, him and I sort of, John's definitely a lot smarter than me from an autistic standpoint. A lot of the nerdy stuff, I'll text or call John. Even if he's on a call, he'll be like, on a call, I'll call back in 15. And in 14 minutes, John calls back. I think there's a lot that John and I have shared with each other and talked through with each other that's invaluable. And like I said, I think it's worth starting a podcast. Just if you find the right people to start it with, it's worth it just for that aspect of it. And then everything else sort of is gravy. And we had a lot of folks like, Kintsugi and Omnisend and Recharge in the beginning and Gorgeous in the beginning to give us the opportunity to get the plane off the ground. But the plane getting off the ground for me was more about, like continuing my plane to keep going forward and helping everyone's plane to keep going forward, versus it like reaching some sort of destination that I think a lot of podcasts are looking for, right? Whether it's an exit or, 9-figure, whatever that final destination is, that really wasn't important to me. So I think that was the biggest piece of it. And that's what I recommend to folks is finding the right people and good people, because just starting it for those benefits and the friendships and relationships are worth it.
Yeah. And we'll continue our private Slack channel, which is probably our source of communication most times. And we're 24 hours a day mocking each other, making statements, making jokes, sharing memes, things that would get us
yesterday.
Yeah, things are getting us canceled. I mean, we'll say anything behind those doors, and I think that that's probably how we'll continue our relationship. Plus, we'll see each other at events and stuff.
Yeah, Commerce Roundtable, Austin. We're gonna be there. I'm gonna be at Kill Tony. Jimmy, you got to get me on Kill Tony.
Yeah, Austin, and then San Diego. So we'll put those final notes below. But
hell yeah.
With that, boys, it's a wrap. This is our final time. We'll say goodbye, and it's the end of a show. It's a wrap, guys. It was a good run, and I would say that we learned a lot, and we'll look back at this. The cool thing about the internet is everything lives forever, so I can't wait to show this to my kids like 20 years from now, and they're going to be like, ha, that was terrible, right? It's cool, though, because they're not going to be there's no chance they're getting into email marketing. So I have no desire for them to get into that. So for that reason, I hope that they just think that it was very boring or whatever, but it would be cool to go back and look at this.
Yeah.
And not only that, the growth and the different things is, a lot of this podcast was stemmed from a lot of my personal change of things happening in my life that I would say that I carried through into what Brian said. Like I was going through a lot of things at that point, and it was my like sanity point, my creative outlet. And I got to talk about a lot of cool things that I have and kind of share the knowledge that I have outside of email marketing. I know that I'm the email guy, but I really do know a lot more things outside of email marketing, I promise. And I think that people got to hear some of those. With that being said, guys, that's a wrap, dudes. Adios. Last time with the things. Thank you guys all. Thank you to all the listeners that are getting to this last part of this thing. Thank you for listening, leaving us, putting us on stage, sponsors, people who've came up to us, all the things that Brian's doing over here with his hands because he thinks he's a millennial, but or not. What is it? What is it? Wait, no, you're doing it the wrong way. The way they do it now, like this.
Is it that way?
That's blood, right? That's blood. That's a gang thing.
How? Wait.
I don't. It's like
no,
this,
blood.
dude. Like this is how the youngins do it, and we're too old for that. Our fingers don't move that way. So with that, it's a wrap, dude. See you guys later. Adios.
Welcome to the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. Ecom is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop.